All new at 4. It is a great day if you love to travel and you love to save money. And who doesn't love both? Today is National Cheap Flights Day, where fares are expected to drop for the upcoming season. We need it, right? Joining me now to discuss how low those prices could go is Scott Keys from the famous Scott's Cheap Flights. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having
You have
me.
changed travel for so many, me included. So the real question, how much of a discount can we expect? Are those fares really going low?
Yeah, look, I think folks need to update their thinking about airfare, because while it really did get very expensive in the springtime, when you look at what airfare has done in the past couple months, it actually deflated in June 2%. And then in July, it deflated another 8%. Fares are getting cheaper now. And just in the past couple weeks alone, we've seen flights out of Charlotte for as cheap as $578 round trip to the Greek islands.
Ooh.
Flying over to Barcelona for $502 round trip, or if you want to stay domestic on a full service airline, Charlotte to LAX for $206 round trip. Those types of deals are popping up now in a way that they weren't a few months ago.
All right, so what do we need to know about getting these deals? Are there certain days that these deals are happening on? Are they not going on weekends? Do we have to book so much time in advance? What are the specifics on this?
Yeah, the best way in terms of timing to get cheap flights is actually just to book when cheap flights are most likely to pop up. And when are cheap flights most likely to pop up? It's during what I call a Goldilocks window. Not too early, not too late, just right in the middle. So if you're traveling domestically, usually about 1 to 3 months before travel is when those cheap flights are most likely to pop up. If you're going international, 2 to 8 months is that Goldilocks window. But then if you're hoping to travel during a peak period, middle of summer, Christmas, New Year, something like that, you want to add a few months to those recommendations.
So is now the Goldilocks window when we're talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas and those kinds of flights?
It is. So now is the Goldilocks window if you're hoping to travel in the fall. Be booking those flights now. But even if you're hoping to travel during the winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, now is when those cheap flights are much more likely to pop up than if you put it off until October or November. By that point, not only are there not going to be any cheap flights available, the prices are going to be downright egregious. Whereas right now, you can find still some cheap flights, or at least something decent, something where you don't feel like you got completely hosed by the airlines.
And that's very important. All right, my last question for you is, flying out of Charlotte, right, are there any routes that really you just never see discounts on?
The toughest one right now are just flights across the Pacific, actually flights over to Asia. And that's in large part because the number of flights operating to Asia is still down about 65-70% from where we were pre-pandemic. So while we're seeing tons of, flights over to Europe out of Charlotte under $500 round trip, the flights over to Asia are still much more like $800 round trip, even on a good day. So wait until 2023 if you're hoping to take a trip to Japan or elsewhere in Asia. Take advantage of those cheap Europe flights now.
All right, Scott Keys, you're the best from Scott's Cheap Flights. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.